Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's just awesome that you're tuning in. In today's video, we are going to do my personal top 5 different ways to actually play modern light gun games. We are living in a great time where a lot of development is going on. Now with these different models, we do have like pros and cons. However, when you're going to be looking into like all different models, yeah, there are going to be quite a lot of interesting ones out there. However, this video isn't sponsored whatsoever actually. I'm just making this video just for helping you out all. So subscribe, hit the little bell. And if you have any questions, you can always drop it in the comments. And if you're done with the video, let me know in the comments what is your favorite light gun and do you agree with my top 5? Hey, so for the top 5 we're going to be doing a start off with this particular model. So you do need to take this a little bit seriously because this is a kind of a fun, let's say, product to actually buy. And there are a couple of different versions out there and it is not actually a light gun situation. This is more like a remote slapped into a light gun, but the games were kind of funny and the overall design had like a lot of potential. If they added like main games to it, that would be cool. However, let's get into the number 5, just this very basic VPark light gun remote thingy. But what is actually going on with this? So this is a very interesting tiny device where this is actually an air remote slapped into a light gun overall, let's say, construction. And I did a full review about this product, so I don't want to go in depth about this, but the general idea was kind of cool. So if they were implementing, let's say, MAME arcade games, this would be a very cool solution just to grab, plug this thing with a dongle into your television. So I'm hoping in the future they will make something out of it. There is not like an unlocked software, so there is nothing we can actually add to this device. So that's quite unfortunate. So where this thing has a lot of potential, they completely blew it. And I think the market for this are non-gamers who just want to buy some random fun thing to give to somebody else. However, let's do a little bit of gameplay and show you what this was actually about. The game, but some will give you the option to automatically go into the hard mode if you don't want to like have the basic simple levels in the beginning. And after every single stage, we're going to get ourselves an evaluation, how everything went, how fast, agility, and of course the accuracy. Every single stage, you're going to get this result. What I did notice was no high score whatsoever, so it's just a moment that you're going to get the score and you're going to the next stage. Alright, so let's recalibrate it, especially when you're going to be sitting in a different position. There we go. Alright, let's start normal. And when you're looking at the distance, I'm just playing this on a very tiny display. There we go. Oh crap, messed it up with that calibration. That's absolutely a very strange game. But with this game we just have infinite bullets, so we don't need to really reload anything and all. And this is just a combination of a light gun with Super Pang, the arcade game. It's kind of cool. But every single game just have basically 2 different stages where we're going to switch between. And then of course the levels are going to be more difficult than the previous one. The only weird thing is if you want to go back to the main menu, the thing that we can do is like turn off the system itself or pressing the button over here on the light gun. Gives us the option to quit the game, but this only works when we're actually going to be in the game itself. You cannot do this in the high score level. We cannot use the button already mentioned before, but when we're going to reload, it will bring you back from the title screen to the main menu itself. What happens if you're going to put a Fruit Ninja game and we're going to combine this with a light gun? We're going to get Fruit Shooter. Yeah, the names are absolutely hilarious sometimes. And that's it when it comes to naming. We're just going to shoot fruit. The games are kind of basic, but fun. Oh, but yeah, if I'm touching the bomb, I'm game over. Okay. The naming itself is so freaking laughable. For example, with Annoying Bird, Split Bomb, that we tried before. But on this first page, there we do have a very cool game I wanted to try. It has some funny tunes to it. But let's calibrate it and let's go to the menu itself. And the thing I wanted to try out is Sharpshooter. It's basic, but it's a lot of fun. We just need to hit the targets, that's it. It's just a very basic game, but for this game we do need to reload. And I really love the shotgun reload for this. For the number 4 I am choosing the AimTrack version, they called it. One More Arcade having these complete kits. I think they have the arcade, The Pandora's Box, different version using the same technology, complete with light guns, but also has a built-in solenoids, quite use, let's say, pistols or handles, controllers, how you want to call these things. But it's quite interesting because this was an overall quite nice plug-and-play solution. Accuracy itself would maybe not the best due of the single sensor, but I was really fan of it. I think it's a lot of fun way to play, and the plug-and-play was one of those very cool features. However, it comes with limitations, and they're using like basic mini PCs inside of these things, and overall the performance was quite okay. However, it was a plug and play, but not also a very cheap way to play, because these kits were quite good quality when it comes to the buttons, joysticks, but of course if you're going to be buying the plug and play solution when it comes to the arcade Pandora stick. However, if you're going to be looking through everything, it's quite, let's say, expensive still if you're looking into getting into light gun gaming, particular that. But it's absolutely cable nightmare when it comes to this. So first of all, so when you're looking at the first power supply, it just has a sticker, power adapter for guns. I must say they did absolutely great labeling so you don't mess this up. So here we're going to get the power adapter for the PC. So that's the one we're going to be plugging in last, and I will tell you later on why. So let's plug this power cord in here. So we're going to get a dual setup. Let's plug in the power adapter. I already mentioned before, this we can plug it in, but we're not going to plug it into the PC, because if you're going to do that, it automatically boots up. You can just plug in the light guns later on when the device is powered on, if you want to do that. So let's leave this thing at the side. So here you can see this thing also has been splitted for the two light guns powering on. One thing they should like improve, give this thing a different kind of a cable, because this is too thick and too sturdy. So we're going to plug in the cable over here. The next thing that we need to do, it doesn't matter which port we're going to use. I'm going to use the 2.0. Let's plug it in. And then we're going to plug in the cable itself. You will hear that it automatically boots up the first time. It's kind of annoying, to be honest. Okay, so let's plug in the HDMI cable and let's get some sensor set up, because that's the next thing we need to do. Next up, we're going to implement the sensor bar on my television. I'm just going to use this putty glue simply because I don't want to use the 3M, but if you want to have a fixed position, you can just use the 3M, of course. The next thing that we need to do is put the sensor here in the middle. With retro shooter, we're going to get two of them on the side, so it's just in different configuration. So let's start with the first game. For entering credit and pressing start, we can use the D-pad down for entering credit and up for starting. Okay, ready to go. You need to have a distance depending on the size of your screen itself. So you do see there's still a cursor from the other light gun that I have put aside. It's quite unfortunate, but you can remove the cursors if you want to. Or go wild and use a dual gun later on. Reloader can be out of screen, but what I do like about it, you can just use the button at the right over here for reloading, so you have like a way faster way to shooting and playing. Or we can go full Rambo mode. At credits, start. Woohoo! Well, let's start with a different game just to see how that actually works. The only thing I'm missing is a shotgun reload. I really like that, by the way. Not that it's actually needed in here, but there is also no pedal. But well, of course the same button has been configured.
How could anyone do this?
So what is interesting with Virtual Cop, we do have the original aspect ratio of the game. The reload button had been mapped to this particular button now. We are going to be doing a chit chat about the Sinden. It has been some time that I actually did an unboxing or used them, because I have so many different solutions out there. However, I wanted to put it in the next, let's say, the number, because this is just a very cool way to play. The Sinden technology, what I understand of, they're also being used in the arcade 1-up. And playing with my arcade 1-up mini, let's say, time price machine, I didn't notice any problems, and it's quite accurate when it comes to that. So when it comes to the Sinden, you can use it on all kinds of different machines and different kind of boxes. So what I love about this thing is that the reload feature, I think this is for me like my #1 reason. I love to play some House of the Dead with this. So it even comes with a solenoid built in, just a plug and play USB solution. But let's do a chit chat and let's do a little bit overview of this device. Two controllers over here are two light guns, but this is basically the red version with the recoil built in. This means there is a piston that makes a lot of like noise, gives more like the arcade feeling. But when we're going to play some House of the Dead and we just have like the recoil, it's just pure satisfaction and gives a little bit of the arcade feeling. And then of course not to forget the way how you can reload with the tiny pump reload at the bottom part. I think it's absolutely a very cool experience. So what I understand of, there are basically like three kind of, let's say, colors you can pick up. The blue and the red one, and then we're having like the black edition. I must say I personally really like it. Like for me it was a very difficult choice which color I want to have, but for me the red and the blue is a little more like arcade feeling that I had with some of the arcade machines back in the day. But nevertheless, I did try the non-recoil version, and I can tell you it plays just as fun like the recoil version. But again, you don't have like the clicking sound, and the experience in overall is slightly different when it comes to the one with the recoil. But again, it's more like a personal thing which one you should pick up. That is something that you need to decide. It's more like, can you make some noise or you can't, because you heard it already, it makes a lot of noise. But this is not for everyone. These are the Gun 4 IR models. The Gun 4 IR are absolutely very cool ways to play. These are like the most expensive one you can just actually buy. These are the modified original Namco with the recoil, and this thing is just freaking awesome. Like the real arcade in your hands at home. However, it comes with a hefty price point, so again, this is not for everyone. You have the black, the pink and the blue color to choose from. And yeah, if you want to get into the maximum mode, this is a very cool way to play. However, let's do a deep dive in it and explain why I love this so much. My arcade machine came with the light gun gun conversions, and this is a completely different non-Gun 4R brand. I don't know what kind of brand it is, however, it did came with buttons and everything else, but the feel is really cheap. They're maybe fun if you want to just play some games, but if you want to play like some long plays, this is not the way how you want to play. And also the solenoid is not an overall great solution. And what do I mean with great solution? Let's jump into that too. What are the differences? And yeah, this is why I upgraded to the Namco guns, because the weight itself, this feels very heavy throughout, let's say, this very cheap, let's say, overall clone thing. You can just see the click and how much wiggle between it is, and the wiggle is not the biggest problem. I love it, but there is not even a click underneath. This is just such a different experience when it comes to just clicking, and that is one of those many ways why this is just such a cool upgrade. Let's look at the ping gun, because both of them will have a different sound. So this is the ping one and the recoil. So what I really love about what he done with this, you can just use this thing for rapid fire, but also when it comes to like single shots. If you're just going to be using a single shot, is just fine. If you're going to be holding it for actually going to be into rapid fire, think like games like Revolution X or Terminator, you're getting the rapid fire. And I can tell you it's really noisy, and I can tell you the feedback on this thing is absolutely amazing. The same like in the arcades. Where both of them are Namco, let's say, arcade ones, what is interesting that this one sounds kind of different, and I do like it, because when it comes to both of the light guns, you do have a very cool, let's say, different sound effect. So when you're going to be pointing them to the screen itself, you're going to be activating, when you're going to be seeing the mouse cursor, then it's going to be activated like that. Now you can just actually see on screen they're having a mouse pointer, and the features are exactly the same. So with having a single shot, but if you're going to be using it in rapid fire, you can hold it. And yeah, it's absolutely amazing with games like Revolution X. So Revolution X, I already spoke about it, and this is just such a fun game to play. Well, let's calibrate the guns, and let's check out if we can just play the game. This is just pure madness. Okay, so when it comes to reloading, this can be a problem or a hit or miss when it comes to these, let's say, Namco guns and the games family. And this has to do because some of them need to have the button configured. But I'm lucky that this tiny one over here, exactly where my thumb is configured. So this works perfectly with the older House of the Dead. Where House of the Dead 2 works even better than part 1 because we can even use this for the pause button. Yeah, that's even possible. Oh.
How could anyone do this?
It's very simple. They eat their face! Ah! Okay, so when it comes to Gun for IR, none of them are like super cheap solutions. So when it comes to the first one I've reviewed, they came with a very powerful solenoid and even a rumble option. There are different configurations, so take a note that also what kind of configuration and what kind of model, it also depends what kind of price. So Epic Electronic is the guy who actually mod these, and GB is the mastermind behind it, who made all of the technology possible. You need to combine this with the LEDs. You're going to be putting them around the monitor if you want to use it on a monitor, or they're just already implemented in an arcade machine like Daniel Spice does or some of the Chinese cabinets. However, when it comes to this particular model, they use high quality LEDs, so it's very important because if you're going to be plugging this thing in, powering on with the USB, you do have like the best solution because the good quality LEDs Raymond is actually selling brighter LEDs. It's going to be an overall better solution, and so it knows exactly where you're pointing it at. So putting it on the monitor, it's going to be a little bit of a cable nightmare, which you can see over here, but the cables are long enough for bigger monitors too. I'm just going to be using these clays, and it's super easy to remove them, so no double-sided tape is actually needed. As a child, I can still remember that I had these super jolt guns. Pretty damn awesome if you ask me, because we could play, like say, semi-arcade games with Time Crisis and had a lot of fun. The recoil is nothing to be compared with the Namcos from Gun 4R. Combining the LEDs on the monitor, or as I mentioned before, inside the arcade machine, we don't need a CRT anymore, so we can just use a very nice high definition flat screen. So when it comes to the number one, I'm just still choosing the retro shooter, and let me explain why this is. The beginning of the retro shooter, we had this very cool Pandora's Box 10 and the retro shooter PCs, making this a super easy way to play. The Pandora's Box are no more, or at least the machine itself, but there are different ways to play. But one of the things we have is over here the retro shooter, and one of those many crazy things. But they keep developing new models, and this is actually in prototype as making this video. But in here we're finding all kinds of different ways to play. So like I mentioned before, this video isn't sponsored, but you know, retro shooter, I purchased a couple of these things and they are super convenient, and there are actually many different, let's say, like light gun solutions. So for cheap ones, but also more expensive with all kinds of cool stuff. And they're even using this inside of arcade machines. Custom Arcade is one of those companies I visited who are building retro shooter arcade cabinets with a Pandora's Box 10 retro shooter box, or like even a PC on the inside. So it's a very versatile kind of, let's say, equipment you can use for all kinds of purposes. If you just want to get yourself like a home system or a full-size arcade with a massive screen, you can do it fairly easy. You can just find them, I want to say everywhere, but there are many different ways to play. Combination with pedals, we do have the overall ultimate solution if you want to play games like Time Crisis. And it's actually the first time I've actually seen Xbox Classic on a machine like this. So that is even like the positive thing about when it comes to having this on a PC running with Windows. And maybe in the future we can have like Battlesera, that would be even more like superior than having Windows. This was absolutely amazing. The retro shooter technology is going to be implemented in many different ways, also combined with the MX24. It's a different way, it even works on 24 volts, and this is very cool. I think it is Ghost Squad, if I'm saying it correctly. It was actually where this original light gun was for, and they modified with the retro shooter technology, bringing the real arcade stuff at home with very cool solenoid feedback at the back, and this was like the next level when it comes to retro shooter. Another cool way to play. They also upgraded the sensor from 2, now 4, same like Gun 4R, only in different positions. It's kind of cool, so you have this complete kit like the retro shooter. They don't sell it anymore, but it was a very cool plug and play way. You slap on your sensor on your monitor or television, plug in the box, or you can also do it with a PC, and then you can use yourself the old light guns, but also the MX24. And I think it's a very cool, let's say, universal system, and if you're going to be plugging in one device and you're buying another one later on, you can just plug it and have a lot of fun. However, there was some very cool and many different ways to play, and I'm very curious what they will do in the future with new solutions, and also with Battlesera, what will be the options for playing the light gun games with the retro shooter. Okay, so let's start off with one of the classic games, PlayStation 1 Time Crisis. I love this game, this is so much fun. So let's see how they configured everything. Yep, like I said, this button is going to be the standing mode. But the feedback of this thing is absolutely amazing. Alright, so let's get into the game. Pressing the side button, you can pause the game, because it's actually a PlayStation game. Shouldn't bring you to the next page. Let's go. But also, with Time Crisis in this game, it works absolutely perfect. And also they are releasing a new version with the slider like the Namco, only a way more affordable way. So if I knew they were doing this, I didn't even order myself the Gun 4R Namco ones. Yeah, I actually bought it to make a video and to showcase it. But if you're going to be looking at this retro shooter, where I'm holding over here the prototype version, they are going to be releasing a brand new retail version, and I'm guessing it's going to be even better than this one. But this is such a blast to the past with this very cool slider, and I'm just going to be honest, this is at this point, when it comes to comfortability and the way how you can play it, my personal favorite. Is such a very cool way. And if you can buy it, and it costs like a fourth of the price of a Namco Gun 4R, this is going to be a serious way to play with LED function, rumble, slider, the solenoid 24 volts, you name it. This thing has everything that I always wanted. Only they came a little bit late to the party. But it is even fun to implement it in my top 5 today. But I just love how accurate this is. You know, even with a lot of lighting here in the studio, you can just fairly easy play these games. So let's get him some Point Blank. Of course, Point Blank. I'm always playing this on my Time Crisis cabinet from Arcade 1 Up. So cool. Let's see how I can implement the start. Okay, pressing the button over here will activate that. Man, I'm really liking this. So first of all, let's try a normal game, and I mean particularly just with a single shot. We can just have rapid fire going on. We're going to be switching. A little bit of bullets, and let's see if we can shoot the guys. With the SOAR 4 sensors, I do notice that it is so much more accurate. Of course, I'm using this on a 24-inch display, but if you're going to be using this on a massive display, it's going to be having so much more benefit. But I can tell you that the recoil is absolutely nice. Where I noticed with my Namco guns, they were like super overkill. This is a nice balance. Oh yeah! Come on, the last one! Oh yeah! I also checked out the Chris Cool mod. It has nothing actually to do with the retro shooter, but I've combined the Chris Cool mod PC and the Retro Beast hard drive with the retro shooter, and combining this with the MX24 or the new prototype, we have like even more games, high quality games. So yes, I love these old school MAME and PlayStation games, but having the real arcade stuff, Technoparrot, everything can be run through his machine or his hard drive if you have your own powerful machine. Take note, if you're going to be playing Technoparrot, PlayStation 3 emulation, we need to have like a serious powerful PC, and combining it with your favorite light gun solution from this top 5, beside the Chinese plug and play thing, you can actually have all kinds of cool stuff. You can use Sinden, you can use Gun4R, you can use the retro shooter on the Chris Cool mod, and yeah, a very cool way to play and very easy to bring your, let's say, gaming experience to the next level. But it concludes my top, let's say, light gun solutions. Can be different in the future with coming of new products or new companies. However, the retro shooter is personally my number one, with a simple reason, because there are so many different ways you can actually play and different kind of a solution, from cheap all the way to more expensive, you name it, you can just buy it, plug it in and have a lot of fun. But just let me know in the comments, what do you think of my top? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments, and it would be great to see you in the next video.